That is the strategy. At the end of the day, what's your company worth? It's not the products. It's your brand. It's the equity of your brand at the end of the day that it's worth. It's the trust that people have in you as a company. This is not a coincidence. Does everybody know her? You know her knee? Okay. Wonderful woman. She's terrific. All right. You can tell I love women. I just do. So she starts out a few years ago saying that we got to have healthy stuff. You know, we're done with this. The United States, carbonated beverages, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, sales are going down like this. Lay's potato chips, stuff like that, going down like this. You know, Stacy's pita chips, the healthiest snacks, are selling more. So she goes on this initiative. She gets picked as, you know, Woman of the Year and for this type of program. One little problem. It greatly affected her bottom line. Why? Because believe it or not, in India, where PepsiCo is going to spend $5 billion in business development over the next 5 years. That's with a B, $5 billion. Unfortunately, you guys still like carbonated beverages and Lay's potato chips. Okay? It's these emerging markets that it's still incredibly popular. So how did that work out for her? Not too good. She got hammered. She's still the CEO, but her stock value got hammered. Her market share got hammered for believing in, look, I think long term she's right. There's no doubt we have to say she's right, correct? Would everybody agree she's right? Okay. But the bottom line for a company wasn't good. But long term, I think it's a good idea. Does that stop her from doing a CSR program? No. She goes, that was your best shot, shareholders? Okay, get up. All right? Tim Cook from Apple. Apple got torched with those plants in China that were not even close to being environmentally safe. 167 of them. And they weren't even close on their own standards that Apple said. Remember those 100,000 watchdog companies? They got their hands on that. So what does Apple do now? Well, where I just relocated to North Carolina, they just bought acreage. They're going to be turning over the forest. They're going to use that forest, replant. Use the forest, replant. So they're going to be, environmentally, all of their packaging is going to be coming from restorative forests. That's what they're going to do. How about this guy? How about Charles Schultz from Starbucks? He started this campaign in his coffee stores with the issues we're having in the United States right now with the black on black, you know, the abuse with the police, the riots that we've had. So he tells all his baristas, you know, with this message on there, at Race Together. Well, you know what? It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I really do not want to get into a social conversation with my barista. Give me my damn coffee. I got to get to work. The Twitter sphere went nuts. They pulled it down. It was like, really? They actually felt, people, consumers actually felt they were taking advantage of a social issue to promote their own brand. And I know in their heart that wasn't what he was doing. But they pulled that program. But by 2015, they're going to be 100% fair trade. They're heavily involved in education for their employees. They have a tremendous CSR. Did he fail? Yep. Next, I'm back up. So, the business for peace approach argues the future opportunities are breathtaking for the companies that seek the larger good in meaningful, demonstrable ways. What does that mean? People have got to see your CSR program. You've got to demonstrate it, okay? But they will also argue this will require a shift from corporate social responsibility, from being a discrete corporate department to being part of your DNA of your company. If you're not going to make it part of your DNA, don't do it. So here's the 3 takeaways on this. Align and bring in CSR. Don't have it out there as the weak cousin not coming to the weddings and to the parties. Make it easy to invest, not spend. If you're thinking that CSR is costing you money, then you're doing it all wrong. Okay? And again, you're going to take it back to your stakeholders today. And you're going to talk about this. And I hope your mindset has changed, that we're creating this conversation that you're going to bring back. Number 2, implement an open information strategy for more transparent information sharing with all of the shareholders. Open it up. You're not experts. You'd be surprised what you can find out. Number 3, leverage the transparency to increase the level of engagement of your key people and your customers. Whether you're B2C, B2B, there's linkage. I don't know where it is, but you and I are going to talk. We'll find that linkage. There is linkage if you look and you figure it out. I'm really good at doing this stuff. I can see, I can connect the dots. I can bring you from A to Z and have you fully understand my CSR program and explain to you what the original intention was. My roadway may be kind of crooked, but I'm going to get there to the end. If you do all 3 in combination, your CSR program can become a vertical within your company's competitive strategy. It's now integrated. It has a seat at that table every Thursday morning at the executive meetings. It has a seat. The CSR, not HR, CSR, has a seat at the table. If you do all 3 of them right, it will improve your company's value relationships with all your key stakeholders, investors, down to the people that are getting the benefit of your CSR. Everybody. That's having your cake and eat it too. That's winning. If you can do all 3 and do them right, you have won. And look, a lot of companies invest a lot of money in corporate sustainable CSR programs, and they do it for a reason. It can help your bottom line, and you're creating good social. But the only way you can help society today with your CSR program is to make it profitable so you can continue to do it and expand it. And the only way you can do that is you've got to treat it as a business vertical in your company and not be begging for more funding every year to do it. Oh, this is costing us a bunch of money. I have to be truthful. Even that the Good Neighbor program, that made money on the bottom. We were not a nonprofit, an NGO. We were not set up that way. And people say, wait a minute, say that again? I said, we did not set it up as a nonprofit. We did not want to set it up as a 501c3 in the United States because we didn't want to have to listen to the government tell us what we should be doing. So it was never set up as a nonprofit. We helped the nonprofits, but what was the value for us? It paid for my salary for managing it. We had some money left over on the bottom line, but the tangible asset was, what did we do? We increased case movement to every single one of those sponsors that came in. We grew sales in our stores. It helped our bottom line. We increased business. Now, I did this presentation down in the Dominican Republic for all of those supermarket owners who were down there. I did the Good Neighbor program, a little bit more in depth. They were my biggest problems getting involved in the program. I needed the store owners actually to become more involved. And I was struggling with that part. So I said this, and I'm going to be the last words I'm going to say on my presentation. I gave them the presentation, and I talked to them about the woman with the breast cancer, and I had her picture up there. And in a very quiet voice, I said, now, this is your CSR program. How would you feel if your competition had it? And I walked off the stage. And I'm walking off the stage. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. If you have some questions, I'd love to answer your questions. I bet you do. Okay. We'll come around the room. He goes, no. So they work for the private enterprise. but they are funded by businesses in order to do it. So it's a collaboration that they ended up doing it.
Yeah, actually it's very specific, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
It's in the government schools. The school, the creating, it's because, the habits are not there.
Yep.
We're working on the behavioral change also simultaneously.
Yep.
So it's a big challenge.
Yes.
With
Yep.
the government school, we are running the WINS program there. No, but toilet,
But
whatever
it's
benefit we can draw from it, it's very relevant. You're talking about 10,000 children here.
But it begins with a step. Yeah. But it's a very good point. I mean, that's, find, some synergies with what companies can help you with that. That would have, right?
Like, for example.
There's some brands like Unilever,
Yeah, that's fun.
right? They make materials to clean. They have them. That's in their brand portfolio. Those are the type of companies you look at. Next. Yes.
Mr. McCabe, my question was, a few years ago, before we had the telecom giants come in, and before we had the Uber scandal in India, which you're familiar with, I was part of an NGO that approached these people to set up helplines for women. Nobody was interested. The only people who volunteered were people who were the owners of tobacco companies. Our NGOs at the time said, we'd love to take the money. They said, we'll give it to you right from start. You take as much as you want. Not $1 million, $5 million. We said we can't do it because perception is reality. The ethics comes in here.
Exactly.
Also, when you talk to Indira Nooyi, just before she took over, while everybody was talking gung-ho about how she was talking about health, Pepsi company was going all over Himalayas painting the rocks with their advertisements of PepsiCo and the logo. So when it came to India, there was a double speak when it comes to environment issues. And it's only when a minister actually threatened to beat them out of the country did they take all of it down.
Good.
Point number 3, since you talked of Kraft, all the companies that you talked of in your Good Neighbor program, if you study their stock indices, they're the ones whose stock had dipped. Be it it's only later, and you talked of a sugar-free, less salt, I beg your pardon.
Yep.
Since cane sugar is the main problem in the U.S., all of these people had problems with sugar. I mean, it's only later that Kraft and Heinz got together and they decided to take over Cadbury and things. So the question is, the only time you can really get the corporates by their short and curly is to go to them when their stock is down and look for something which really allows them to redeem themselves in public eye. It won't happen otherwise.
She brought up a very good point, and let me explain to you. It's absolutely a great point. Let's talk about Kraft. Because at the time I did the Good Neighbor program, Kraft was a member of it. What companies did Kraft own at one time? R.G. Reynolds. They're part of it. They are so concerned about marketing to children and what programs they're involved with. They're incredibly jittery when it comes to dealing and marketing to children because their foods, are not healthy, trans, fats, the sugars and everything else. They had a major problem with doing it. But you know what I did with Kraft? Is they had a partnership with an organization called Feed America, okay, in the United States. Feed America is a nonprofit that brings meals to people that are not getting meals. So I found out about that connection. So I went to Feed America, then I went to Kraft, and Kraft says, I'm going to give you 300,000 meals. No, this is meals. This is from the food bank. That they will go to the food bank and supply good foods to the food banks, and the food banks will prepare the food and feed it to the people. So it's a very good point that you have to look at what their problems are and how you can associate with it. I mean, you brought up some very good points. Kraft, the tobacco companies. I would have said something to the tobacco companies that said, I'll take your money, but I want another condition. And they go, what's your condition? I want more education to children about the dangers of smoking. Would they do it?
Conflict of interest here.
Yeah.
Then you can't promote the product.
Right.
Inadvertently, you talked of the fact that it's a good business, but here, the CSR having a seat at the table ensures that whatever you do in terms of responsibility is completely away from what you do as brand management.
Yep.
That's the only way they're able to ensure it and also ensure
Right.
that it's not just self.
Right, and you've got to work through the organizations that you're supporting, the nonprofits or the social enterprises. They're the ones that you've got to work with.
Base of our society.
Right. So directly, you're not working with craft, but working with the social enterprise. That's the way you do it. Yes?
Very short question. You know, certain companies, they have welfare programs for their own employees.
Yep.
Is that considered CSR?
No, it's not. And again, that is another good point. When I examine companies, and I say to myself, one of the first things I look at them, I said, okay, who is their CSR program directed to? Is it children? Is it women? Almost every single one is employees. It's employees first, and then they may have some others. But a lot of this CSR is for betterment of their employees, which is fine. Which is fine, and the families, absolutely. But some of them, do not have any external CSR programs. That's where you need to develop. Your employee CSR program should be part of your business operations. Right.